Welcome to the PTA Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, John Caladra. I'm accompanied by my co-host, Nick Kelling. Nick, how you doing this morning?
Fantastic, excited, and ready to hit the day, get running.
We're out here hooking and jabbing, getting things done. Anything new with you? The new things with me? Just still looking for a home with my roommate, James, as you know. Trying to get that process, got the pre-approval. Just waiting on the world to change.
Nice. Yeah. Today I'm going out with one of my clients, looking at some new construction houses in some new communities. So that should be fun.
Yes, and as we're kind of we're nearly at episode 60. You know, where we've been doing this. I think we want to say October is when we kind of did it 100%. We're almost at a year of doing this consistently for a year. So proud with that work that we're going along, and I think that kind of leads into what we're going to talk about today with things we wish we knew earlier in the finance realm. Especially me, when I was younger, I'm only 25, but when I was 21, 22, I definitely thought I knew it all because I believe I began my financial whatever you want to say journey earlier, especially when I started caddying, bought my first stock in 7th grade. Not a big deal, not worth mentioning. So this episode is definitely about things that I'm like lessons learned, I would say, and things we should knew earlier. So that kind of lead us off with what are 2 or 3 things that you wish you knew earlier and why? Like what situation, looking back, like, damn, if you could see the barn through the woods, you're like, oh, that's so much easier. It made way more sense now.
Probably definitely buying a house while I was in the military, and then having this house that I'm in now as my second house. Not being in an apartment as long as I was. I was in an apartment for 2-3 years. Could have been building equity. I talk to people every day. Oh, I just want to look for an apartment. It's like, okay. I mean, life can be easier just living in an apartment, but it's more expensive. It's definitely more expensive. So definitely buying a house sooner. Definitely being in my mid-20s, buying a house is definitely early for a lot of people, but you can always be earlier. and I had plenty of opportunities to buy a house earlier. And I just passed it up because didn't want to take the risk, didn't know the process, didn't talk to the right people. And that's one of the reasons why we want to do this podcast, is to bring this information to people, hopefully young people, early 20s, maybe even before that, being like, oh, these guys are realtors, he's a banker. I do want to be financially successful. Okay, how do I achieve that? Through real estate, through maybe stocks. Okay, let's talk to this realtor. Obviously, he knows the buying real estate process. This banker knows how loans work. Hopefully someone can reach out to us. So yeah, through the mistakes of just not knowing to buy real estate or how that really works, educate myself, and then execute on buying a property while I was in the military. Like you, this should have been my second house, not my first.
Yes, and like I said, lessons learned and it says to say with home buying, it needs to be your number one priority early on. You can't, as a banker, you can't make the bad mistake of having a $60,000 car. You're just not going to be able to buy a home, or at least you will be able to purchase a home. It's just not the home you want to buy. You can't have the 10,000. You cannot be 21 getting into credit card debt, because that just sets you back. That kills your credit score, and that sets you back. If you're $10,000 in credit card debt, you're gonna pay probably 15 to 25.
Yeah,
whatever.
Especially if you're late on them.
Like 15. I would probably say if you're 10K in debt, you have to pay the man probably 18,000. You know what I'm saying? For that 10,000, you're probably gonna pay him 18. So that's the down payment on a home right there. You know, so if you have 10K in credit card debt and a $40,000 car and you're trying to buy a house, I'm sorry,
it's not gonna work.
Not going to happen for you.
Debt to income ratio is not going to be there. And it's probably knowing that information. I always knew, hey, don't be in a lot of credit card debt. Pay off your credit card. Okay, build your credit, but like, why? You know, so I can get a loan. Like,
things are cheap.
Really think about that. Yep.
Something I explain to people all the time about credit is the better your credit score is, the cheaper everything is. The worse it is, the more expensive it is. So it's kind of like controlling behaviors of, if you have poor spending habits, then things will be more expensive for you. So
Yeah.
it's almost like, just do the right. I don't want to sound like my father, but do it right the first time and it will just be done. And I think that's a good thing that I'm very appreciative of having coming from a great family, is that good spending habits were instilled into us. Were they received by, I have an older sister and a younger brother. I can tell you, I'm not going to say who is who, but not every single person out of the three of us owns a home. Only one of us do. Not every, out of the three of us, not everyone has a great credit score looking to buy a second home. Just, it's all about receiving knowledge and kind of like having a good attitude.
Like being a sponge.
Yeah, because like finance is kind of our thing we talk to. If you're not into, if you're listening to this, I don't think you probably, if you're listening to this, you're definitely into finance, because look at the production value and look at the Jamaicans that we are trying to get this done. But we're Rastafarians. But you know what I'm saying? Like it has to be part of your priority. And I think that's one of the things that I wish I did earlier, was when I bought my house in 2021, I should have been looking for another one. I should have figured out a way. I was doing other things. I was deployed and doing a lot of other things, but I should have been, if I was smarter and I was more mature, and if I was good as I thought I was. This is the one thing that annoys me. If I was as good as my ego was, I would have bought another house in 2021, because that was either the time to buy or to sell everything. It's kind of funny when interest rates are at that level again, when interest rates are very low, you can see who's in the, like, who's a major player in the game by who's selling and who's buying. Because I don't know if you follow Alex Hormozy, sold everything during that time, because values were so high, money was so easy to get, that he just sold everything and rented, and then he's just waiting for the haircut to happen, which that just goes to show that you're in a different stage of the game, that you're not a 25-year-old trying to make it. You're not a 21-year-old kid in Zambo City hooking and jabbing trying to buy a house in Illinois. You know what I'm saying? Like that was, so like it's kind of funny like how everyone's like, oh, in this situation do this, but it really, in every situation you can do what the fuck you want. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I wish I would have bought way more or invested in the stock market, because I kind of had a poor, talking about attitude, when Dogecoin and the stock market was flying during COVID. In my head, reading the situation, I was like, I don't understand how any of this is possible. If the economy shut down, how is the stock market racing up? I should have learned. That's another thing I wish, as an opportunity that we had, of I did not do my due diligence with that whatsoever. Hand up. I wrote it off as, I don't understand it. I don't want to be in it. I'm buying a house. I'm better than you, was kind of my mentality with that. I think there was money to be made there for sure. Because any swinging dick made money during that gold rush.
Yeah, I definitely wish. Yeah, the stock market. We were kind of getting into it at the very end of our deployment. Of my second to third deployment. Definitely learning about it, and I think that's where most of my knowledge of the stock market really came during that time period. And actually holding stocks long term, selling it short term as well, tracking everything. But yeah, definitely doing that earlier and maybe taking more risk. Nobody ever regrets taking less risk. Everyone always regrets, like, oh, I should have took more risk.
I disagree with you, because as someone who ran a trucking company to the ground and lost all of my money, I regret taking I would say, I think the biggest lesson through the trucking company is controlled risk. And I think that kind of goes to, if you're young and trying to make things happen, I definitely had an ego, and I definitely was off base with a lot of things. But controlled risk, and I wish I knew my limit. It's hard to say, because that was legitimately my second ever major deal. I would say I bought the house, and then I bought the trucking company. So that was my 1 and 2 business transactions both of them were major league. I wish we know when they say crawl, walk, run. I did not crawl, walk, or run. I decided to sprint and then to swim. The sprinting I could do, the swimming I drowned. So it's all just kind of like if you go in head first, and just send it and go all the way. That I would say. If you're gonna make a major play, send it, go all the way. Because that's the one thing I do. Like we talk about, like you and regrets. The one thing I don't regret is like I went all the way. You know what I'm saying? There was no half measure made. Like I lived in the freaking trailer. You know what I'm saying? Like I sent it. I moved from my brand new home in Wheaton to the trailer park in in New Cumberland. Shout out New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. Not a big fan of that neck of the woods. But that is one thing. If I could say one thing that I appreciate that I did was at least I jumped head first in the fucking pool. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my best advice. As someone who lost all their money and came out on the other side, just jump in head first and you'll figure it out. And if you don't, this is America. You can figure it out again. It may take you 3 years. It may take you 3 years because I have yet to fully recover from it. But we're definitely on the right track.
And you didn't ruin your credit score because of it.
I did not lose the house, and I did not lose my credit score. I did lose the Lexus, though. I lost a lot of savings and a semi truck, but the house was not lost. That's one thing that I can't tip my cap of. You can call a spade, but I jumped in head first. I may have lost the car, but I didn't lose the home.
No, yeah, and you saved your credit score. That's pretty big because a lot of people, they jump in head first, and then they get this idea of they wanting to get out of whatever they got in, and in that process, their exit strategy isn't very executed very well, and they just destroy their credit because they took out loans, like you did for your semi, instead of being able to do the smart thing and maybe find a buyer to pay off your loan.
I did get lucky there. Whatever the loan was left and we sold it was basically a wash.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been in major league trouble if, like I'm saying, I came out on this side, go ahead first. But legitimately, we did get lucky that we bought a good truck, and that when it was all said and done, when we sold it, it was basically the same as what was left on the loan. So if that was a different story, then it would be a different tale. It would be different lessons learned. But I did get fortunate in that fact at the very end that I didn't owe anything at the end, and I think that's what saved me. That's what allowed me to bounce back this quickly, as 3 years later. But I am very fortunate in that fact that I left with no debt.
Yeah. And then a lot of people, I don't know if it's they just couldn't find that buyer, or that they just said, screw it, park it on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Let the bank take it.
Yeah.
And they think that is the best option because.
Well, so you're dealing with people not all mentally there. I'm not going to come at people, but some people view the situation. People can make that accusation at me at certain points in my life where I'm not all mentally there. But you can. There's some people who's like, oh, the truck company done. I'm done with this. I'm walking away.
Yeah,
some people do. Some people are scumbags. Don't be a scumbag.
You were attached to that truck still.
Yes. Do not be a scumbag. I do want to shout out Frank because he's the one who handled all the admin and logistics. He's the one who sold the truck for me because I was out of state. So I do want to say, shout out Frank Torres. He was a gracious partner with that, even though it did not go remotely how we anticipated or how I wanted to go. He was a great partner to the very end and still is a great friend to me. So I do want to shout out Frank Torres. I love you. God bless. Nick, do you have anything else any other lessons you want to share?
No. Just take that risk. If you're thinking about it, you have the capability, or you have the will, do it.
Because money you could always make more money, but opportunities are finite. So send it, baby.
Send it.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening. God bless and have a good rest of your day.